Hey everybody, I'm Allison Murray Nickel of My Child Is. Thanks for joining me for my live session today. And we're going to cover the 5 simple steps you can take to help your child right now. Even if you are still waiting for an evaluation or a diagnosis or on a wait list to start services and receive therapies. So I've been hearing from so many parents who are having behavior problems with their young children, and they are having to wait incredibly long times to get an appointment for an evaluation, an assessment, any kind of testing, diagnoses. And then on top of that, in some places, once they get a diagnosis, whether it's the right one or not, they may then be on another wait list to start services. So this is taking up to 2 years, which is terrible. Because if you think about, a young child, how long 2 years is. So the main point that I am making today is that you don't have to wait. No matter who has told you that you have to wait. Doctors, therapists, early interventionists, anyone with, community service organizations, child services associations, school districts, or, your pediatrician, whoever you have gone to discuss the challenges that you've been having with your child's behaviors. Yes, you may have to wait a long time for their official evaluation or diagnosis, but you don't have to wait to start helping your child. There are so many things you can do right now at home to help them with those behavior challenges. No matter what the specific challenges are, there are many ways that you can address them and tons of strategies to use depending on what's going on with your child. So, and this is the case for, anyone who might be unsure about what might be causing these challenging behaviors, whether it's tantrums or hitting, other aggressive or violent or destructive behaviors, or just defiance or, avoiding listening or following directions, or other things as well. If, parents might be unsure about what is causing the specific behaviors. And so, I hear from a lot of parents who wonder, about potential diagnoses like autism, ADHD, sensory processing, oppositional defiance, dysregulated mood disorder, pathological demand avoidance, or even post-traumatic stress or anxiety. And kind of no matter what the specific behaviors look like, and no matter what, if any, potential diagnosis you might be considering or, having a gut feeling about or just are wondering about, no matter what that is, there are still these exact 5 steps you can take at home to start helping them now without getting an evaluation, a test, a diagnosis. Not that there's anything wrong with that, or that's bad, or that you shouldn't do that if that is what your parenting intuition is telling you is the right thing to do. But again, you don't have to wait to start helping your child now, because no one else can do it for you. As a parent, this stuff falls to you. So you can go ahead and start making a difference in those behaviors right away. And this also may be the case for you if you have gotten a diagnosis or not, or an evaluation, but if you've already started some kind of services, early intervention, special education, occupational therapy, speech therapy, play therapy, anything like that. But if it's not really helping with these challenging behaviors, then again, you as the parent are left to deal with it without any real support. So these steps are going to be a game changer in thinking about how to approach this without and regardless of a diagnosis or an evaluation, or the ability to start any kind of services right away. So it's so unfortunate that so many parents are just left to struggle on their own. They reach out and seek help, which in itself can be a really difficult thing to do. So many parents, sit with that and wonder about it for a long time before even reaching out to ask about an evaluation or diagnosis, or maybe the parent, it never occurs to them, and someone else might refer the child or suggest to the parent that they get an evaluation, like a teacher or child care provider or anyone else, or the pediatrician themselves. Wherever that comes from, again, once you reach out and ask for this help, the system is saying that there's nothing we can do for you right now. What kind of a crappy system is that? And, I was just looking at the numbers again, 6 months to 2 years for an evaluation. And then you may not even agree with the results of the evaluation. You may not feel that accurately represents your child and what they can do, because many times the way that they're assessed in that setting is so out of context for their real life that they act totally differently, and they won't show all the same problems and challenges with behaviors in front of this evaluator. And so it's so common for parents just like you to disagree with the initial diagnosis and to go through several rounds of evaluation until they find something that really seems to fit. But also, it can be inconclusive from a first evaluation. It's trying to capture everything about your child in such a limited way that it can't help but miss things. So sometimes they may not even be sure what to tell you at the end of it. So then, if you do get the result or the diagnosis, and you feel that it fits and it's right and it's helpful, then seeing if you can qualify for actually getting services is a whole other thing. But if you do qualify, then the trouble with finding therapists right now seems to be really dire. There seems to be a very serious shortage. Again, hearing from people saying, there's only one person in their area anywhere near them, and they're on a wait list. And then sometimes when they finally do get services from that therapist doesn't happen to be a good fit for their child. And the work they're doing doesn't seem to be helping. I've heard this over and over. And again, so many therapists are wonderful and they do amazing work and they can make a big difference for some children. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. And unfortunately, there are some who don't excel in working with certain types of issues. And so, whether you're looking for, an occupational therapist, speech language therapist, play therapy, or whatever it might be, you might have a limited choice. You might have to be on a wait list, and it might not be a good fit. So another great reason not to wait, because the longer you wait, the more you're going to stress about it and worry about it, and that inaction is going to just create all of this guilt and doubt, because there's something that can help, you just cannot access it. And when you're feeling all that guilt and that self-doubt and doubting yourself as a parent, that's really hard to talk about. That's heavy stuff. So many parents just struggle through that alone. And again, without the support of the right doctors or therapists or coaches, parents just don't know what to do. And so they end up doing nothing because, again, they don't want to make it worse, or they just have no idea what to do, or they've tried everything already and nothing has worked. And that is so often the case with kids like this. All the standard behavioral advice does not work because there is something else going on with these kiddos that we've got to figure out and look at and address. Because that time wasted, whether it's even just a few months, let alone, half a year, more than a year, that is such a significant portion of a young child's lifetime. I mean, think about it. The early childhood time, developmental period is from ages 1 through 8. But disregarding infants, because that's a whole other thing. For the toddlers, young children, preschoolers, up through age 8, it's a critical developmental period. And it's the time when all the foundations of the neural pathways in the brain are being laid and established. The ones that are used over and over in that time become even more firmly established and more difficult to change and adapt later on. It's still possible. It's always possible. Our brains have neuroplasticity our entire lives, but the most plasticity, the most opportunity for rapid growth and quick change and development in the brain is in the first 5 years. And then, again, this kind of early childhood period through age 8. And, even with an 8-year-old, a year is an eighth of their lifetime. A 4-year-old, it's a quarter of their lifetime. Allowing that amount of time to go by without intervening and solving this problem that your child is struggling with, or the multiple problems that your child might be having a hard time with, that is such a significant chunk of that lifetime, that spending that amount of time feeling that they are struggling and are not getting what they need teaches their brain to understand that that the world doesn't understand them, and that they're not able to get what they need, even when they're trying to ask for it through those challenging behaviors, because that's the only way they know how to do that. And again, it's just like you're speaking different languages and not understanding each other. So the great news about this is that it's such a unique opportunity, again, to make rapid growth and change and developmental shifts during this critical period. This opportunity, and you can seize it to make that big growth quickly, and really just see a totally different child. I've worked with so many parents who have gone through that and are just so completely amazed to see that, wow, that kid is still in there, or, those wonderful qualities from my child that I see from time to time. Now I get to actually see them most of the time. I didn't think that was possible. So it is possible to make that shift, again, without the diagnosis, before you get the evaluation, before you can start services. There are things that you can do, and that only you can do as a parent. Again, so many parents have started therapies, or their child is receiving services, but they're still having the exact same behavior challenges at home and with their family. And that's because often my opinion is that the service providers and therapists and interventionists and educators even are not working closely enough with families, with parents. And we know from the research in the field that is the best model for getting the results, the outcomes for the children who need us, is by partnering and collaborating with the parents, with the families, with the caregivers, and teaching them how to do all of the things that the therapists know to do, and that the educators know, the strategies the educators know to use to help your child learn new things and new skills, and all the techniques that any service provider might be giving you to figure out what's going on. The ideal model is that the parent does all of it, but they need all of the support behind them to do it. And it works the best because the parent, of course, has a unique and special relationship with the child that no one else can have. And that relationship is the single greatest key to unlocking their potential and the understanding of who they are and what they need, and how you can meet those needs, and again, help them stop having to struggle through, and be able to show their best selves, their kindness, their caring, the way they pay attention and are creative and exploring, and all of the amazing things that kids are. So again, this is a unique opportunity, so don't wait. And you don't have to wait. You can take action now to help move your child's behavioral development forward, even without getting any official diagnosis or qualifying to start certain services or therapies, because you as the parent have very special insights and information about your child that no one else has. And again, that relationship that allows you to influence them and guide them and have them trust you like no one else can do. And that trust is what creates the emotional environment that opens up their brain to be flexible, to try it a new way, to learn a new skill, to be able to calm themselves down, or to articulate what they need, or to walk away and take a break instead of hitting or snatching or yelling. All of that is possible. And I've even seen families who, were worried about a certain diagnosis potentially, and we worked with them for a little bit, and they were able to solve all of the problems, and they decided that they no longer needed this diagnosis, because regardless of whatever the letters are written on a piece of paper, your child is your child, and they are a complex and unique individual, and you are the perfect person to become the expert on all of that, on your child. And of course, you want to help them move forward, not backward, right? So a lot of parents think that, or have the thought that, okay, I'll just wait this out and be patient and just let them grow out of it. Because a lot of times that's what they're told by the experts, by relatives or friends or family. Anyone might give them that idea that there are certain things that your child will grow out of. And sometimes with some children that can be true with certain things, but any behavior challenge that a child is having shows that they are missing some type of skill that they need. They're not getting something that they need. They're not getting a certain need met, and they are trying with their behavior to express that to us. And when we don't understand what they're trying to say, they have this they develop an understanding that their needs can't be met. So doing nothing and allowing them to continue operating under the assumption that the world is not able to meet their needs, no matter how much they try to express them, that can start to spiral and create even worse problems. So that's why I don't recommend a wait and see approach with this type of a challenge, with this type of parenting challenges, with difficult and disruptive behaviors, because they are a cry for help. And when a cry for help is ignored, eventually, either one of two things happen. The cry for help is going to get louder and more extreme and more severe and more disruptive and in your face. Or the expression of that need, that crying out, is going to go silent. And that's almost worse, because then no one is aware. the struggle that's being pushed down. And I know about this because this is something that I've experienced in my life through various different experiences as a teen and as an adult. And so I know firsthand what that can do and how it can seem better at first. It can seem better at the time. It can seem like, oh yes, this is what I'm learning to do to be part of society. But what it actually is doing is just repressing all of the unmet needs, all of the frustration and anger and sadness and fear that come from that. And again, whether it pops out with more externalizing, violent, aggressive, angry behaviors, or whether it gets pushed down and is turned inward and later can turn into mental health or chronic illness or unhealthy relationships, all kinds of other issues. Depression, anxiety, all from that. Again, those are only what happens if you don't do something. But you can do something, and you can do it now. You don't have to wait. So, again, waiting is not the answer. You want to move them forward and not backward. So, no matter what your concern is or where the concern came from, if it was from you, spouse, a family member, a teacher, someone else in the community, a pediatrician, wherever the concern is coming from and whatever the potential diagnosis or diagnoses are that are being considered, that doesn't matter. That's not relevant because you can understand what's really going on, the underlying causes of your child's behavior, and tackle it now. Tackle all of those challenges and address them with things you can do at home. And all you have to do is this 5 simple steps of my investigative parenting method. So, and again, this is something that any parent can do. And, learning from my training in special education, early intervention, and inclusive child development. And again, we know from the research, the best way to get the outcomes for the children is by teaching the parents how to do this stuff themselves. And again, the research finds that they can do it, and they can do it better than anyone else can do it. So, and it's simple, just 5 steps, all you have to do. So, number 1, you observe closely, you observe objectively, and you write down your notes on what you have observed and what has happened in sequence, including how you responded to whatever your child was doing, and what happened before and what happened after. Then you can start to notice the patterns. You can notice kind of what keeps happening and how it keeps showing up. And whatever the need is, the unmet need is, or the missing skill. Whatever is lacking, you can find the holes when you, again, observe and track it closely. Then, once you've identified those unmet needs or missing skills, then you come up with a new plan. So you choose a new strategy to try. So, if you've been observing, you see what you did that didn't work. Try something different and see how it goes. Put it into action, and again, you're gonna pay attention to how it goes. But the fourth piece is, the other key is, you want to use your child's strengths and interests as you're choosing what to try, and consider what seem to be their priorities and what they are very good at and what they care about, and what they value and what they tend to go to. So that will help inform the choices that you make. And then number 5, this is an iterative process. So again, you go back to the beginning and you observe. And you keep going through this process until you find what works. And you can start right now. You can grab a pen and paper and start observing and writing things down. And again, any parent can do this, and they can, when they take some more time to look at and reflect on what's really going on with their child, they can find strategies that will work. And as many people do, if you would like some support in figuring out how to apply this with your child at home, we're happy to help. You can book a call with me, a free call, and we can talk about exactly what next steps you can take to start addressing and resolving your child's behavior challenges today. So you can book a call with me at parentingpreschoolers.help/apply. Again, you can go to parentingpreschoolers.help/apply and find a time to talk with me about what you can do to help your child right now. Thanks everybody for joining us, and I'll see you again soon.